Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of God of War. Most of the commentary for this episode is done in post, because I actually did most of this pretty late at night, just to try and get some of the last few trophies in the game. So this is the final of the 3 realm tears in the middle of Ivaldi's workshop in Niflheim. This is actually the least expensive of the 3. I did them in reverse order, so this only cost 10,000 to open, but as you can see there are 3 ogres in here, which fortunately I've got friendly fire enabled, so they can actually hit each other with rocks. Surprisingly difficult to escape their grab attacks, though. But at this stage in the game, not that difficult to actually kill. So yeah, as soon as we take these out, we get the favour complete. Timber!
You did it. You sealed
all 3 realm tears. How do you feel? Pretty decent.
You have come a long way, Atreus. This was no easy feat. You should feel pride.
Yay!
I do. Thank you, Father.
Actual praise. And a new heavy runic attack. It's pretty decent, though it's got a very long cooldown. In fact, I think it might be the longest of the cooldowns. This is me just checking whether there's anything else I need to upgrade with the rather hefty mountain of XP that we've got, but I'm pretty certain that there is not. Unless there are any summons in the game that we didn't get. There might be. There are a few hidden things, as I discovered after I'd recorded this episode. But either way, that's the realm tears closed. There are still 2 chests. We need 15,000 rather, echoes to open. And it's rather annoying actually watching this back, because I know now that in order to get the trophy for completing this area properly, I actually need to open those chests. It's not just completing the favour. Curse me and my inability to pay attention. So this is just trying out the healing blades, which give quite a lot of health back, as it turns out. But it doesn't last very long. Or at least it didn't seem to. Just grabbing the mist echoes because there's other things that you can use them on, and there are a lot of upgradey things that you can buy. So we're just going to go check out what Sindri has to say. Now that we've completed that.
Need a fresh upgrade before tackling the realm tears?
No.
Not that.
Hey, Sindri, guess what? We closed all the realm tears.
We did
You-
them.
What? No, you did not. You really did?
Yep.
No way.
Yes, huh? It took forever,
Yes, her.
but we sealed them all up.
I don't believe it. The strength you would need.
It is no boast.
No,
The
I
strength
suppose you
that
aren't
we
the
would
type.
need. And it did
Well,
take quite some time. I
not
think I
just
spent
anything
maybe
besides-
4 or 5 hours
Thank you.
total
Baldy and Sons would thank you too
in
when they're
here. Ta-da! Ivaldi's curse completes. Interestingly, you don't need this one for the trophy for completing all of the favours with the dwarves. Which is called Oil and Water, I think. Something like that.
Where shall we begin?
So this means that we can now go through and upgrade all of our bits and pieces, which will help cap out our power level. I think that's the keeper too. And of course, now I realise that we actually need some more mist echoes, don't we? So we're going to take a little bit of a trip back in and grab 6,000 echoes to finish upgrading that set. This will be a pretty decent look at a kind of general high-powered run through Niflheim, though, through one of the mazes. Once you're geared up and you really are sorted out for end-game fights, you'll notice that the enemies have all got green health bars. They're all level 6 or level 7 for the most part, and they really don't take a huge amount to kill. I think the key is, generally speaking, very judicious use of your runic attacks on both weapons. They do seem to offer you a pretty decent chunk of advantage, and they do a lot of damage. You'll see me using them fairly regularly, quite often as soon as they are up. I've got stuns, I've got ground slams to deal with tassel worms. I do use the axe a lot of the time. There's a second chest there which spawns after you've reached a certain milestone. I can't remember what the milestone actually is now, but that can be quite. I've not actually opened that in any of my runs though. It involves finding some spinny runes hidden throughout the maze, and there may be something really cool in it, but obviously I don't know. I think of the two end game areas, Muspelheim and Niflheim, I found Niflheim better to start out with. Apart from the mazes where we got the Revenants. Oh, actually, it could be feeding the Valkyrie that shows that knowledge chest to show. But yeah, apart from the Revenants, if you get those in a maze, generally speaking, it becomes very long and very painful. But in order to get at least the first upgrade, or the first tier of upgrades to that set of armour, Niflheim is better than upgrading the fire armour. It's easier, it's less aggravating. On higher difficulties, I imagine that would be especially true. Because the challenges in Muspelheim will undoubtedly be quite considerably harder without higher tier gear. The way I see it is that you can finish the story without upgrading past probably power level 6. But for the end game stuff, you really do want to be high 7 or into the 8, especially for the kind of Valkyrie fight. I went for, as you can see, the Niflheim armour. Ooh, almost getting myself crushed there. I went for the Niflheim armour for the health regeneration. It is sneaky, hiding these chests around there like that, where if you go one side, you'll get crushed. I did that a few times. But yeah, I went for the Niflheim armour because of the health regeneration. Just for general usage. I don't know how much health it gives. It's one of the things that I never actually thought about checking. I'm thinking it's maybe 1 HP per probably 2 to 3 seconds, something like that per stack, and obviously it stacks up to 5 times. But I can't confirm that at all. Maybe after I've recorded this, I'll go and Google it and double check and stick that up on the screen now, if I find anything. The Valkyrie armor that you get for defeating the Valkyries, I think, is probably the best looking armor in the game. But you can only get that from defeating all the Valkyries, or at least most of the Valkyries, and they are challenging. Very challenging indeed. In fact, I think the next video that I'm doing will be me versus the Valkyries. They are substantially difficult enemies. But this is a nice way of gearing up for them. It's grindy, is this. Niflheim is a grindy location. It takes some time, but as you can see from this recording, the mist echoes stack up quite nicely, and by the time you get to this kind of power level, you're getting 6,000 to 8,000 ish echoes per run. I've had a couple of runs where I got more than that, because again, some of it is based on random placement of chests. You know, everything is random in terms of the layout of this. Another thing to be aware of in Niflheim is getting a reasonable sense of layout. Clang, clang, clang. One of the things that was messing me up a lot off stream, and I've got 3 or 4 hours of footage of Niflheim that I recorded, but just wasn't very interested to try and edit together, because it's grindy. It's a lot of this with a little bit of salt where I get killed in annoying ways. Yeah, it did take several hours, I think, probably to get to an understanding and appreciation of Niflheim. These so there's a level 8 Vulva there. When they go berserk, which is when they get covered in this kind of stuff, a lot of their attacks become unblockable, and they actually do quite a lot of damage. But they can, if you're careful and cunning, you can actually punt them into the traps. All of the enemies in the game can be trapped, killed by traps. But yeah, that was quite close there, a little bit closer than I might have liked. But that's 3,600. Oh, and actually quite a few fights will drop those perfect artifact of the blights, which will give you even more resistance to... Ooh, let's get out of that. It'll give you more resistance to the effect of the mist. I don't actually have... I know, actually at this stage I've got some of those... That was close. I've got some of the blight things equipped in my armor, and as you can see, the poison fog really isn't causing me too many problems. So in each maze that is, I think, guaranteed a Nornid chest, and it's always a bell ringing one like this. The one at the start isn't, but if there is one in the maze, it's always this, with varying degrees of bells knocking around. You get a nice chunk of echoes from it. Generally speaking, by this point in the game, you've probably done hundreds of thousands of them, so you know how they work. The Blades of Chaos are pretty decent in any fight where there are nightmares because you can weaponize them. They have a tendency to explode and cause quite a lot of stun damage on enemies. And as I said, you want to get those Wulvar down and out of the way ASAP. Because as soon as they berserk, like he's doing there, then yeah, that happens, and it's not nice. Using Atreus' light arrows to stun can be effective to lock them down. Probably not spamming them like I did then. Spacing out the shots ever so slightly more be a good plan. And sometimes you'll get a good room like this where there's lots of chests in a room. But as you can see, you know, getting lots of missed echoes there, even from the smaller chests. So that's the 6,000 echoes that I needed. Now I need to get back without dying, which is sometimes a challenge, especially if you don't have as much blight protection. But yeah, masses of echoes, plus some haze weave. The more chests you open, well, with each chest you open, the higher the chance that you're going to get something decent from the next chest is. So it rewards you for staying in the mazes a bit longer. Just looking around there to see if I can spot one of the runes for the chest back at the start. I haven't. I don't. So here we go. That's our 8,000 echoes. We are going to head back to Sindri and get the final couple of pieces of the Deadly Mist armor upgraded, and that will round out this particular gear set and basically make us as pretty much as strong as we're gonna get, which is nice. That's the gauntlets. That's the belt. There's no achievement for those. And there are some extra pommels, handles, etc., that you can find in Niflheim as well, which for the most part are pretty decent actually. But I barely used any of them. That Shattered Gauntlet of Ages is actually an Infinity Gauntlet reference. If you equip it with a certain selection of gems, which I wouldn't have figured out unless I'd seen a video on it online. You can actually do some really cool range stuff with it. It can fire off bolts of energy, etc., which is pretty interesting. So I've upgraded the Talisman of the Realms there. That's got a really nice kind of AoE time stop.
Is there something else?
Which is pretty cool. So yeah, at this point I'm thinking, ooh, well, that's everything completed. But of course, what I completely forget is that we're not quite done. We haven't actually unlocked the trophy.
So how was your trip to Jotunheim?
Will you give them a little privacy? The kid just found out he's a giant. He doesn't need you interrogating.
Brock, you knew?
Oh, we knew Faye was the last guardian of the Jotnar left in Midgard. That's why we made her the axe.
Oh,
We hoped it could restore the balance.
she
of
was the
power.
guardian.
After Thor went all berserk with our hammer.
Though in the end it seems she chose another path. She chose, well, you. Both of you. I suppose she figured that was the best chance for the giants to live on. And now, I suppose, that's up to you.
How about that? A young Jotun with us the whole time. And the son of Laufey, the just... I should have seen it before.
Mm-hmm. Thinking what a lot of people, well, saying what a lot of people are probably thinking.
I never had the pleasure. Laufey was a rumour in the halls of Asgard. A giantess warrior who thwarted many an Aesir god's plans. Freeing those who they would enslave, feeding those who they would starve, generally making a nuisance of herself in the most noble of ways. Thor was terribly frustrated he could never find her to fight. Once my imprisonment began, I could only wonder what became of her, and who she would turn out to be. Yours is quite a singular lineage, lad.
And there we go. Trophy earned, darkness and fog. So that is Niflheim properly 100% complete. And that's it for today's episode of God of War. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when there's more, and drop me a follow over at Twitch so you know when I go live. The support is very much appreciated. Until next time, toodle pip.